What's up, guys? Metal Boot Guy here, and today I just want to talk about Nick's boots a little bit. So, first of all, I've had zero bad experiences with Nick's boots, so that is not what this video is about. I'm not going to rant or you know anything like that. Talk bad about them. They make fantastic boots. Uh, Probably the best built boots, at least that I've ever worn. Um, I've had nothing but good experience with customer service. Matter of fact, they kind of went above and beyond for me last summer. Um, so they've done nothing wrong at all. Uh, but I just am no longer interested in buying boots from them. And these are my reasons why. So this is just, obviously my personal experience. Some of these things aren't going to matter to some people. Um, So, I mean, really, a lot of this is subjective. I mean, there are some truths to some of what I'm saying, but again, just person to person. I mean, some people it's not going to matter to them, others it is. These things matter to me, and so that's just kind of why I decided to make this video. So, anyways, these are in no particular order either. But so the first reason I guess I would say is the lead times. Okay. If you just want to go on their website and buy a pair of boots, um, you're going to have to wait right now 18 to 35 weeks for that pair of boots to be built. And you're going to pay the entire amount up front, which their boots, I mean, without checking anything specifically, just off the top of my head, I mean, they range anywhere from like $500-600 up to I wanted to say $800 for some of the Wicket and Craigs. I could be a little off on that, but somewhere in that range. So you're going to be out that amount of money until you're 18 to 35 weeks. And then hope that the boot that you get, which this kind of leads into one of my other points, not only fits, but also there isn't any quality control issues, which the first one's kind of a big issue. The second one, I mean, it's Nick's. You're probably not going to have any quality control issues. If you do, they're going to take care of it for you, but it's just going to suck that you shelled out all that money, 18 to 35 weeks ago, and then finally got your boots and something's wrong with them. And then you got to turn around and wait. Because if they have to, make you a new pair, it's going to take another amount of time. So right now it's showing size exchanges and warranty replacements 2 to 8 weeks. I would imagine that if you had a quality control issue and they had to, rebuild your boot, it's going to be in that time frame. So, I mean, that's another 2 to 8 weeks on top of the 18 to 35 weeks. But 18 to 35 weeks, that's over a 4 to 8 month wait. And in my opinion, I understand why they'd want their money up front, but I think at the same time, like they might look into a different model, like maybe a non-refundable deposit, or maybe half of the payment up front and then half of the payment, like when they send you like your email saying, "Hey, we're going to ship your boots," but you have to pay us the other half, something like, I mean, something. Again, to some people, it's not going to matter. But like, if you're the type of person that can't afford just to buy boots all the time and you're kind of like excited and it's like, oh yeah, I want to get a pair of boots. And it's like, okay, well, I understand it's going to be handmade and maybe it'll take a few weeks and, I can live with that. And then you get online, it's like, oh, it's going to be several months. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. And to me, like the lead time in general is just kind of odd because it's like, if it was 18 to 20 weeks or 18 to 22 weeks, it's like, okay, that's kind of a more precise range because yeah, things can happen. I understand that. But when you're basically doubling the lead time, it's like, well, it could take 4.5 months, but it could take 8 to 9 months. It's like, man, that's a huge gap right there. So to me, that's kind of odd. And just kind of, makes me not want to buy the boots. The second thing is lack of variety of leathers And what I mean by that is most of the leather options that Nix carries, well, maybe I should have said lack of color variety. Because they do carry a variety of different leathers, but most of their boots are black or different shades of brown. And I mean, a lot of boot guys, they like to buy different types of browns, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like this, I'm not judging anybody for what they like to buy or how they like to spend their money. Again, this is just my personal experience, what I like. But to me, it's like, well, how many black and brown boots do you need? I mean, once I started getting into reds, greens, blues, I'm good with like one pair of black and brown. Truman released that tobacco snake bite. Thing is gorgeous. And if they made it in an upland, I'd probably bite and get it, no pun intended. But I don't need it. Like I have browns, so that's just another thing where it's like I go on their website and it's like, oh, do I want this particular brown? Do I want this particular brown? Do I want that particular brown? It's like I'd rather go buy a blue or a green or something like that, that's different than just black and brown. Now, keep in mind, Nix is a work boot company that also makes, everyday / casual boots. So I completely understand that the majority of their customers are, they don't care. Like when I bought this pair knowing I was going to wear them to work. And so I didn't really care if they were black or brown. Now, of course, I didn't have many options either because this was like a special quick ship that they did. I think they were trying to get rid of some leathers, and those were the only options. So I just went with brown chrome Exel because, I'm wearing them to work. I didn't really care. So yeah, so in that sense, it's like if you're wearing them to work and you're going to be outside and they're going to get beat up and the color is not really important, 100% completely understand that. And so, I get that that's why they have a lot of black and brown. But as far as like their casual boots, it's mostly shades of black and brown. And to me, that just gets boring. But again, that's just me. So my personal experience with sizing, sizing with boots is like a huge deal, regardless of who you're buying from, especially when pretty much all of like the boots in the heritage world are like online. I mean, Red Wing does have their stores, but of course, then you're just limited to Red Wing. 1000 Mile Wolverine has pretty good customer service in my experience, where you ship them the boots back and they'll ship you a new pair or whatever. So there's always Amazon for some of those lesser brands like Wolverine and Red Wing, to where you can just get it the next day, try it on, and then ship it back if you need to. But as far as like a lot of the top brands, Truman, Parkhurst, Nix, the Grant Stones, the Whites, etc., you just have to go off of their sizing recommendation and ask the community. And so with my, not D-width foot, I asked in Facebook groups, I Googled and read different not search engines, like comment threads, like Reddit and stuff like that, anything I could come across. I did email customer service. By the time I did my first Nix pair, prior to these, I mean, it was years prior to this, they had stopped doing the fit sheet where you trace your foot. And so I was kind of going off their sizing guide. And somebody had also posted a sizing guide that they had released some years prior, and I downloaded that. And they've updated it a couple times, but the sizing guide is actually, in my opinion, not correct, because my foot measures 10 inches and I'm like in between a 9.5, 10 Brannock in length. and Nick says I should be in a 7.5. I tried an 8D in the H&W last, and I could barely squeeze that, barely get my foot in it. And then once it was in, like my toes were like squished, like over squished. It wasn't snug like a firm handshake. They were squished. So I'm not sure how they came up with that, but if you call customer service, that is what they're going to go off of also. So if you have D-width feet, you're probably going to get lucky, because apparently everyone with D-width feet, they go half size down from Brannock and it's like perfect. My experience was not the same. So I started out with ready to ship. So that's another option for you. And but with the ready to ship, those are, from what I understand, returns that people have made, boots that didn't fit, or maybe cancellations, things like that. Like they don't just have like a ready to ship section where they just build boots and ship them. And well, technically they do now, but I'll talk about that later. So what I'm trying to get at is, if you think that you're a size 8.5D, you might go on the ready to ship page and they don't have any 8.5Ds, or they may have an 8.5D, but it's not really the boot that you want at all. And so in the past, that was a good way for people to buy the boot and try it on. And so that's what I did. But even that process, like you're spending the money, which I understand at this point because you're actually buying something and they're mailing it to you. But if it's not going to fit, then you're out that money. And some people can't afford to, spend $500 and have it missing out of their bank account just to try something on. So you buy the boot, you wait the 5 to 7 days of shipping. I mean, depending upon where you're at, obviously in the US, because they're on the West Coast. And so, if you're in New York, well, it's going to take a lot longer than somebody that lives in California. But you're going to wait for it to get shipped to you, and then you're going to try it on, and then you're going to have to pay to ship it back. So you have to keep that in mind. So it's like every time you order a pair, you were getting a refund, but you were also having to pay to ship it back. So like you were losing money every single time just to try the pair on. Now they are implementing like a restocking fee, like a 15% restocking fee, I think is what it is. Let me go on here and just double check, because I don't want to fabricate anything here. Like I'm just going off of what I remember seeing. Light new. Okay, it doesn't say on here, but I swear when I was on my phone, it said that that you would be subject to a potential restocking fee. So if I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong, but just double check whenever you're purchasing your pair to make sure that you're not going to have to pay a restocking fee. But that was my experience. Was I started out with the ready to ship stuff, and so I was waiting, sending boots back, waiting, sending boots back. It's not that it was stressful. It was just like the whole process of like, doing that and talking to people online. And like, at one point, I actually ordered a pair thinking I've got my size down. Waited. At that point, the lead time was a lot less. So I think at that point, the lead time was 4 to 6 weeks. And was it 4 to 6 weeks? Oh, it was a quick ship. They do have the quick ship. I ordered a quick ship, and I'll go into here. The lead time on the quick ships was 4 to 6 weeks, and of course the leathers are limited on the quick ship. Like you can't just choose from every leather that's on their website. But I got them, and they ended up not fitting. So they did do the free size exchange, and the size exchange also wasn't my size. And I kind of gave up at that point. I had to take a step back and take a deep breath. And then they ran the thing that special where they were running these, and it was like, we're going to start building your boots the next day. And I was like, that's more realistic for me because I don't have to wait weeks or months to see if the boots will fit. And since I had already narrowed down my size mostly through trial and error, I was pretty confident in what the size that I was going to get. And I think for the H&W last, or actually the Thurman H&W last, this is about as close as I'm going to get to fitting. And it's not terrible. You know, like I've said in my other videos, it's a little wide and it's a little long. And I have tried a half size down and that didn't work. It was odd. So this is like the best that I could get. And I will still wear these every now and then. Like if it rains or something, you know, I alternate between my Trumans and these. And, you know, they're not uncomfortable or anything. They fit me mostly great up until this area, you know, and it's like I look down and it's really long and it's odd, but I really like the high heel stack. I love the high heel stack. I mean, I love everything about them except for the fact that they're just, you know, the sizing is just off a little bit. So I guess that's about it. I mean, they're fantastic boots. If none of that stuff matters to you, I would definitely look into them, find your size, see if they have anything on the ready to ship page. You know, because they are fantastic boots. They're freaking built like tanks. They're comfortable as all get out. But for me, just everything, you know, in combination, and really like the lack of variety of the colors. That's, you know, that's a big thing too, just for me, because I just don't want to always buy brown boots, even as beautiful as some of them are. I like the variety. And so, you know, for right now, I'll just stick with Truman. Until next time, you guys have a good one.